a lot of carriers and dispatchers, they have no plan for the route. They build up and design the route on the way. So they find a load today and think about tomorrow what's going to happen next. And that's the main source of problems in this industry. In particular, in this bad season, you cannot just get the truck anywhere and then expect to find loads in that destination. In fact, one of the things that we always do in the platform is inform people what's going to happen when you get there.
Welcome back to the ThinkFreight Podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Wardeen. I appreciate you guys joining us today. I'm excited to welcome our guests. I've got Carlos and Gino from efRouting. Welcome to the pod, guys. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you. We're really happy to be here. Always.
Absolutely. I connected with you guys a little bit. I think I connected more with Gino at the Texas Trucking Show back in the early summer. Gino, why don't you kick it off real quick and give me maybe 2 minutes about your background, and then we'll go over to Carlos, get a little bit about his background, and then we'll kind of dive into a little bit more from there.
Yeah, sounds good. So actually, I can't really talk about my background and have it fit into the story without talking about our history, because my background comes from the wine industry, agriculture for grape growing and winemaking in California. That's actually what brought me to a grad student program at a university where Carlos was studying for his PhD in logistics engineering. We ended up becoming roommates while we were both in school. And then after he was done with his degree and I was working in Napa, he came up with this project idea with our CTO, Joaquin, and they started the business. And then, once it was time to start putting the product out there and selling, I jumped on. So I've been with the company now almost a year.
Yep.
And go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah. So a little bit about myself. So I went to do a PhD in California, and then I was working with that.
What was your PhD in?
Civil and environmental engineering, but I specialize in logistics and transportation, in particular freight transportation. So during that time in my PhD, I was working for different projects, some of them with the government of California, different companies, to try to make freight operations more efficient. Right. One of those projects was related to trucking. We were trying to make electric trucks operations profitable. So I had a lot of contact with different companies trying to understand what was the problem. But in particular, one day I was talking with these truckers that were based on Florida. When we had the conversation, they were in Los Angeles, and they told me, look, I really need to go back home because I have some family issues. But the next load I have is going to Seattle. So the chances that I'm going to be in home by the next week are almost zero. Then I started hearing all these stories, and I said, you know what? I have been working in this industry for a while now, and I really want to contribute with something that is not only going to make their life easier because they make more money, but also because they can spend more time at home. But I have been related to the logistics sector for a long time because even my grandpa was in the trucking industry. So I was always around the trucks and fixing the trucks with my grandpa. So I always have a special connection with trucking.
Yeah, so that's kind of is that kind of where that original desire to get into the freight and logistics industry maybe came from, was kind of always that it kind of being around it, kind of being around trucks, fixing trucks, and always being around that kind of culture?
Yeah, of course, definitely. I think I create a lot of empathy with truckers at that time because my grandpa was basically, as I say, in that industry, and I understood and I was aware of the problems they had, how besides the freedom and all the excitement of driving the truck, there is also an aside back on that, which is all these problems that this industry have. And at the end of the day, in this industry, the ones that suffer the most are the truckers.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. No, I think that's fascinating because, I talk to so many different people on podcasts who, they have backgrounds in the industry, and some of them, look at it like, oh, I never want to get into trucking. I see all of the problems my family goes through. I never want to deal with that headache. But I always like, kind of the other angle where you kind of took it, Carlos, and said, I can empathize with this. Like I can see these issues. I can see these problems. People are talking about these problems, and you kind of carved out a way to like solve these problems in your own way, right?
Yep. When something that my grandpa, I remember something that he told me early in my age. He say, if you really want to make a contribution to this, you better to go and study, do something different, do something better. So I had 10 years. I was for the last 10 years having a scientist. Then I learned a lot of things that definitely can help in this industry. So I have that mix between science and also practical aspect of the industry.
No, absolutely. And Gino, I want to touch on, your background as well, because I think that's fascinating because,
Yeah.
You've only been in, excuse my nose is itching for some reason.
All
Very
good.
weird spot. Goodness. All right. So, like I said, you've been in the wine industry for like the last, it looks like a long time, 5, 6 years.
Yep.
So, did you ever think you'd be like selling a tech product, a SaaS product, or like talking to truck drivers every day, other than like when you were like talking with them when they were bringing wine in or juice in or whatever they were bringing in? Like, did you ever think you'd be like this involved in the supply chain industry?
No, not at all. I mean, it was pretty awesome getting to know Carlos and Joaquin while we were all at school together. And, as time went on and they started talking about this project, it started to sound really interesting. But at the same time, I never thought I'd really get directly involved with it. I just would see it, grow and be on the outside and stay in wine. But, and I would talk to drivers when they would come. I had to handle all of the shipping in and out of the winery. So I was definitely involved in that way, but that was the limit. But once they said, hey, we really need some good Midwestern people to go sell this tool, I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to learn quickly. So it's been pretty awesome.
Yeah. Part of the major part of the success in our company is picking the right people. And since the early beginning that happened, so Joaquin Mesa, which is our CTO, is also a founder member. He's one of the most brilliant guys I ever met. He's brilliant. And then we had this discussion where, okay, we are going to need someone that is not only good at sales or getting work done, it's someone that is empathetic enough to connect with our clients, because we really care about our clients and we want to provide the best service possible. But we need someone that is able to translate that idea, that vision that we have with the actual customers. So since we met Gino and we knew that was one of his personal features, his character, we say, this is the right person. And we don't regret about it. He's doing a great job.
I love that. Gino, I have a little bit of ties to the wine industry, and it's always.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I did a little bit for about 2.5 or 3 years. I worked at a small winery up in southeastern Michigan.
Oh, cool.
Right near, like, if you're familiar with the Chicagoland area and kind of how all that area is.
Like Holland.
Like New Buffalo, Michigan.
Yep.
Like just a little bit south of Holland. So I did about 3 years there, kind of on and off part time. Unloading trucks, doing a lot of their stock, and then doing some tasting room serving on the weekends. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I did it mostly for the wine and the wine discount, to be totally frank.
Yeah.
And then I became a complete wino for like pretty much the rest of my life. I've just really become a massive wine fan. So
awesome.
I think that's really cool, man. And when I saw that on your resume, on your background, on LinkedIn originally, I was like, wow, this is definitely something I want to talk about on the pod, because like you don't generally go from wine and then directly into freight and like SaaS sales. I think that's really fun.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. They make fun of me because, I mean, even when we were in school, they said, man, why am I in engineering? I should just be in wine, because my program was like, I mean, we were learning a lot. It's a technical, scientific program, but at the same time, we were at wine tastings and having parties like all the time. And they're like, do you study or do you guys just drink wine?
Exactly.
And then I got into the industry, and they said, "Man, you're never going to leave. This is the best job ever. You're just at a winery hanging out." So it's been fun to like have that career.
Somehow they tricked you into freight.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
No, that's cool, man. I relate to that really a lot. Yeah, I enjoyed my time there a ton. I wish there was more wineries like around me. I would honestly think about picking up something just for
Yeah.
like the enjoyment of it. Like I really enjoyed like talking to the winemakers, talking to like them about their processes when they would come in and do some of the bigger tasting. I thought that was so like unique and some of those processes you don't like really hear about. You just kind of like grab a bottle off the shelf and
Right.
drink your wine, but like you
Right.
kind of learn the process that goes into every bottle, or especially some of these more small run bottles and in these smaller wineries that do their own. I think it's really cool.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So you're in Texas, right?
I am, yeah, just north of Houston.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know there's some wineries over in the hill country,
Oh yeah.
but I don't know much about them. I just knew some people that were in California, and they were going back to Texas to try and boost up the industry there.
Yeah, I need to get out to hill country more and do some Texas wine tasting. I know there's a ton out that way. I just never get out that
Yeah.
way often enough. But switching gears a little bit, I'd love to, Carlos, dive into like, what was maybe that aha moment for you, and when you decided you guys wanted to start EF and kind of how that like snowballed, right? Like how that
Yeah.
maybe started, and have you pivoted at all? Was EF originally designed to do something completely different, or how have you guys kind of changed and evolved since you guys created it?
Well, the initial vision that I have for efRouting definitely have been there always. We have been changing the means, like how we deliver that.
Yeah.
But the vision having just one, and then the problem, in fact, is the same problem, right? So I'm going to start with the problem, which is this market, in particular, the spot market, is highly fragmented in the U.S. It means the information is spread around different sources, and then by definition, to make it a good decision, you need to have good information. It means you need to centralize that information, right? So that was a main first, I will say, challenge that we have to deal with, and is put together information. When we put together that information, then also we realize it will be useless just to give people data, because data is very different than information. If I give you one data point, I will tell you, okay, the rate per mile for this lane is $2. Is that good? Is that bad? What I'm going to do with this? Rather than that, we decided to create actionable information from that data. So we process the data and make things that people can actually use for improving their operation. And then at the end of the day, with that, make more profit per mile. But how we are going to get to that idea, right? That was what we have in our board. Okay, information is needed. We need to create sources of information. And then we want these guys to have two things. One is make more profit per mile. And second, improve their life quality, right? And that means staying home when they want to go home, right? And go back home knowing that they already have money in their pocket. So both things there. So in that process, we realized, okay, we create these different indicators, all this information that they need, but we need to create also something that is able to transform those indicators in something that is more actionable. And that thing that was actionable was designs of routes, right? In a way that we can tell our users, okay, look, you are right now in Miami, Florida, and you need to work for the next 7 days. I'll give you a design of a route that have been proven to work well, right? Where you are going to follow the plan and go back in 7 days home with the money that the system is suggesting you're going to make. That's usually is in the top 25 and the top 25% of the market, right? So in some cases, way up, depending on where you are. So year routing, our proposition is, hey, make more profit per mile. But how you are going to do that? There are different ways that we do that, and all of them contribute to the same, more profit per mile, better profitability. The first one is information for always better decisions. Always make good decisions based on powerful information. Second, access to the best deals of the market. You know what? Even in these tough times, there are good opportunities out there, but you're not aware of those, right? So we have different tools inside our platform that help you to find those good deals. And then what is even better is, okay, I found a good deal here. I want to connect that good deal with another good deal, and that good deal with another good deal, and then at the end of the day, you have a collection of good deals that are all connected, right?
Yeah, snowball all those good deals into a route that takes you exactly where you need to get to, whether that's back home or
Exactly.
different area of the country.
Exactly. So we help you to optimize your operation, right? Make always the best possible decision you can make in terms of operation. Find you good deals, and that for sure creates more money, less deadhead, right?
Yeah.
But also we have in the platform other functionalities that are really good for reducing the cost of operation. There is a particular feature that we offer for specific clients, which is the fuel optimizer. It's an assistant that optimizes the way that you refill your tank. We tell you exactly where you have to go to minimize, to maximize your savings, and then that impacts right away the operative cost of the truck, so that reduce your costs. Then you make more profit per mile also. But also, we have other features, for example, for tracking the truck and knowing where exactly you need to book your next lane, reducing time, and avoiding any opportunity to get on a good deal. So we have different ways to do that. And then I will say also, the power of information, it gives you the power to improve your process every time. Like, we store information about our customers where they can later say, okay, look, last month I did this, I operate this way. What I can do now to operate better,
Right.
and improve over time the operation. But as I say, we have different tools that really facilitate that process for all our users. So that was the initial idea, just about information, and then we have been adding different tools and features to guarantee that our user can use it very easy, but also they can perceive all those benefits as soon as possible. Yeah.
Carlos, why do you think that carriers or owner ops, and even deeper than that, maybe dispatchers and brokers who are dealing with a lot of carriers on a daily basis, are so bad at load planning or finding, I guess, the right opportunities? And I say that in the nice way possible, because I was a broker for 5 years. I tried to help my core carriers load plan the best possible. If they said, hey, I can take this load from Illinois to Michigan for you, can you help me find something from Michigan to New York, or from somewhere more East Coast or to the South? I'd always try to string together with my team or other offices kind of a route that could get him to the best place possible, because I wanted to make sure he could get back to his shipper, to get him back to the Midwest so he could run another load for me. So if I had to spend 10 minutes or 15 minutes a week trying to optimize him, that made a lot of sense for me. But why do you think that maybe some of these, Gino, I love your perspective too, because you're talking to these guys every day as well.
Yeah.
But why do you think that they are so bad at maybe some load planning?
Go ahead.
I mean, the essential problem with it that a lot of people do wrong, and that results in the same experience, is they pursue higher rate per mile at all costs. They will not consider, or they really are hesitant to consider, taking a load that is going to be at any sort of loss for that specific mileage that they're about to do. So in the case that Carlos was saying, a carrier in Miami, if we tell them a great route that's going to make them a good profit over a week, but the first load is $1 per mile to Atlanta, they just say, no, that system's not going to work. I'm going to lose money on my first load. And we're like, yeah, but do you understand? You're going to make a bunch of money on the other loads you get out of Atlanta. So that's what I experience is the hardest.
I will say,
idea to face.
Also complementing what Gino is saying, usually there is no plan. Like a lot of carriers and dispatchers, they have no plan for the route. They build up and design the route on the way. So they find a load today and think about tomorrow what's going to happen next.
Got it.
And that's the main source of problems in this industry. In particular, in this bad season, you cannot just get the truck anywhere and then sped to find loads in that destination. In fact, one of the things that we always do in the platform is inform people what's going to happen when you get there. There is any chance that you're going to get a good load leaving from that destination you are targeting?
And that's exactly what I was about to dive into, because you had mentioned them chasing the highest paying load at all costs, but what is that real cost, right? It's if you get to this area, if you go to Bozeman, Montana for $6,000, but you get to Bozeman, Montana and there's no loads, or you've got to take a load to Wyoming, and then you're stuck in Wyoming for you're always kind of looking for these really high paying loads that are tougher to find, whereas you could maybe optimize your route like you guys are saying and not chase the highest dollar route and think about, hey, what is on the other side of that? Am I going to get 69, 70 cents a mile, or am I going to get $2.25? And then that makes a big difference, right? If I go to a different market that's paying different, but hey, I had to take a one load at $1.25 as opposed to knowing, hey, I'm going to get 70 cents a mile in this lane. It's all like you said, it's about optimizing what you guys and how they're doing it.
Yeah. We have different ways to optimize this operation. You can just trust on a complete route. There are, depending on your location, there are some routes that are better than others.
Yeah.
But also you can go step by step. You want to go lane by lane and finding what's best. Good. Even after you're done and you say, okay, I think it's time to go back home, there is an option that tells you, find me the best way to go back home making money. And then the system do it for you. And then, so one of the most common questions we always get is about, okay, how can you trust the information you have?
Perfect.
So one of the things is we have different sources of information. In particular, for the rate, we rely on information coming from factoring companies that are our partners.
Yeah.
About transactions that actually happen. We also have some carriers that are large carriers that work with us, and then also they share that information with us. It's all out anonymous. And then also from dispatchers, right? So we get information directly from dispatchers, people that are actually in that process of closing a deal, negotiating. Then we put all that together, filter out, and make something that people actually can use in an easy way.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I was actually going to ask you. You must have been reading my mind. So when you guys are, if you're using your platform, if a dispatcher's listening, a driver's listening, and or carrier group is listening, and they're saying, hey, we want to use this platform. So how do you find, I guess, all of the loads? Is it tied into all the load boards that I'm subscribed to? Or is it scraping kind of all of the loads from all the load boards and bringing it into EF to find the best loads? Or can you, like you said, you can kind of use that optimized route that you guys provide?
Okay, so for accessing the loads, we have a whole section called loads where we have something similar to a load board, because efRouting is not a load board. efRouting is more than a load board. In that section, we have different integrations for different brokers and load boards. In particular, we have a partnership with TruckStop. So you have a license and a pro license in TruckStop. You can see all your loads from TruckStop in our platform. Nice. But also, we are directly connected with some brokers that feed our system, with TMSs that also that they have information about loads and put it there. But so one of the things that we do at efRouting that is different from other platforms is the fact that we put together all the loads that you need, the ones that you actually need, in a single place. Is one of our customers say, hey, I'm working with this particular broker and I want to see these loads in their platform. Okay, we do that integration. And usually we don't charge anything for that.
That's cool.
Because we want to guarantee that you are going to find in one platform all that you need. Okay, so it's always like that. We have been learning a lot of in this process. There are users that say, "Hey, I have this load board, this other load board," and they are spending a lot of money in different load boards. But at the end of the day, they are working with a few brokers,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So they say, "Well, it's better if I just connect with these brokers in particular, and I don't see other. I don't want to see information about other brokers because I don't even want to make a deal with them.
Yeah.
I want to see the behavior of the market and all those things, but why I want to spend time looking for loads that are not gonna actually book?" So we
Yeah.
facilitate
No.
that.
No, that makes sense, and yeah, because I think that that makes a lot of sense that you kind of connect with what we already have or the carrier already has, and kind
Mm-hmm.
of work with that technology as well. But also, it makes sense when if they're not working with a lot of spot loads on the actual spot market, like the actual DAP boards and 123 and truck stop, if they're going just to brokers all the time, the 4 or 5 brokers, like you said, it doesn't make a lot of sense to even kind of have those subscriptions, right? Or even to see some of those other loads
Mm-hmm.
from any other brokers that
Yeah,
kind of don't make sense.
great.
So let me ask you, I want to, you know, there's a lot happening in terms of like the overall market right now, right? Like
Mhm.
the market is crazy. So I guess like what are some of the biggest challenges that you guys are seeing carriers face when trying to find the right, I guess, opportunities or the right, I guess, or even negotiating these right opportunities? Because I see a common complaint between carriers on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook that brokers have a tendency to if there is a rate posted, it's going to be extremely low, and that rate tends to fly off the board pretty quickly. How do you guys kind of manage some of those? Some of those, because some of those bigger paying opportunities tend to fly off the board pretty quickly.
Good.
Yeah, I guess the way that we approach that problem, and that we definitely hear that complaint. What we've done with the load board aggregator is made it in real time.
Yep.
So
Mm,
if you have your load board subscription and you tie it in with efRouting, the loads that are popping up right away on that load board,
yeah.
they are right away visible. So whenever you're pursuing a load for a lane you've decided on, you're having the experience of you know real time data. But on the other sense of just dealing with the problem in the market with the low rates and brokers kind of supposedly taking advantage, that's a big problem that is kind of something that hopefully as we gain traction we can sort of influence by giving carriers more information about what people are actually getting paid. Like
Yep.
Yeah.
when you go to the load board, the first thing you see is the spread of for this lane over the last few days what people have been getting paid.
Yep.
So that's the idea there. But
That's nice.
until that really gains traction with a lot of carriers and they start approaching brokers with that information, the brokers are going to keep doing what they do.
Yeah, but it's because the first time when you get to inside the lower, you see well, some of them are already proposing on a rate or mild or on a flat rate for that for one lane, but then right there they can see what was actually how much people actually got paid for that lane, so they can have a better negotiation point with that because that's information that I definitely can trust. Uh, but then inside the platform again, they have also this option for, okay, you are looking for a lane that it might look good, but maybe try this buy hole, which is two lanes connected, and then make this lane,
Mm-hmm.
then later connect with this other one, and then the overall income in those two connected is way better than what you're thinking today. So
Interesting.
those are the ways we are helping.
How often are carriers kind of utilizing those kind of methods?
How often?
Yeah, how often? You tend to driver like we said before, like drivers tend to not like, or even dispatchers kind of think kind of on that really short track, right? So how often are you guys seeing them kind of put together those multiple legs like that?
Sorry, there was an audio cut out there.
Yeah, we couldn't hear.
No, you're all good. How much of that did you hear?
I think after.
I didn't hear what he say.
Yeah,
Yes.
no worries. Let me switch gears a little bit. We'll go to this. So you guys are both talking to these drivers and groups every day. What are maybe some of the biggest challenges you guys have with both dispatchers and carriers with maybe utilizing the platform? It seems like drivers in trucking tends to be kind of the last to want to adopt or sees the need to adopt to new technologies. So how are those challenges for you guys? I mean, you guys are talking, you guys are in the nitty gritty with carriers every day who
Yep.
are probably telling you, I don't need tech, I don't want to use my phone for this and that or whatever it may be. I used to hear a lot of these, on the sonar side when I was selling FreightWave sonar. So what are you guys hearing, and what are some of those challenges like
Yep.
to kind of help them and say, hey, we're really here to just help you guys and not take more off
Sounds
the
good.
top.
Got it. Let's reply that question in two parts. So
Yeah.
one is about the problems that we have the challenge that we have today with people that are using the platform, which is a new concept, and then some of them they are reluctant to try it. So Gino can reply about that, and then I'm going to tell you about the challenges that I observe in the industry in general that they are really affecting their operation. So go
Please.
ahead, Chris.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have a lot easier time talking to managers of, medium-sized fleets because they're obviously always thinking about, reducing costs, improving revenue, right? And so for that, it's an easy sell. But for the normal owner operator, who's our target audience, there's obviously a reluctance to take on more technology because the technology that they've been forced to take on, like ELDs and things, hasn't really benefited their operation at all. And so their general consensus is all the new tech is just trying to screw me over one way or another.
Right.
So, yeah, from that end, trying to offer a tech that is specifically helping carriers, we're having to overcome that barrier of general dislike of tech. But the one upside is that, we really can market ourselves as not just a general, helpful software for the freight industry. It is specifically a software that is meant to make the carrier's life easier, the dispatcher's life easier. So that helps us a little bit get in the door and say, hey, I know you hate tech, but hear me out. This is really for you, not anybody else.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also to complement that is we really consider what the experience of carriers, experience of owner operators, dispatchers. We try to put all that information and that knowledge there to design on a tool that actually is made for them. So imagine the combination of powerful information, scientific knowledge, and the information and the experience that these guys have. They are the ones that know the best about this industry, how everything works. So we try to combine all that and then provide it in a single tool, right? But also, when Gino was saying before, uh, it's very interesting sometimes to interact with our clients that say, I don't want to try this route because, yeah, in the first load, the first lane, you're giving me, I'm not making money.
Right.
And then it happens sometimes that they just stay uh, in a place because, no, I'm going to wait for a good load. But you know what? It's no good load is going to show up because there is no good load for that place. But rather, try to move here, right? Make a little bit, and then later, starting from that point, you're going to start making the good money in this other design that we have for you. Then that have been the biggest challenge that we have been taking, but it have been a lot of fun actually to take that, try to overcome.
Yeah,
And then
it's
go
a
ahead.
tough challenge to try to overcome, but like I'm sure there's like a satisfaction when you can overcome the objection and say, hey, just get through this one or two loads where, hey, it's not going to be the best, right? But you're going to cover your fuel, you're going to get into a really good market that's going to help you make that $2.50 or $3 a mile that you need, or whatever it may be in that specific market to really focus on what your goal is, and your goal is to make a lot of money and then get back home and then get back on the road. It's not, make money, stop for 2 days, wait for a good paying load, stop for 2 days, because then you're out for 2 or 3 weeks when you could have been out for 10 days in making the same amount of money and spending half the time doing it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And then now talking about the challenges in general for the industry, at least the ones that are related to the operation of the trucking operation, there are two things that I observe, which is service level. You really want to have an operation where you have a good service level, means you get on time in the deliveries you have to do, you pick up your trucks on time. And sometimes, due to many reasons, carriers really cannot get on time to places, and then they are banned from brokers, and that really affects their performance. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And there are ways to solve that. We offer some solutions for that. How we can guarantee that we prevent a delay, or how can we prevent a delay, right? So, or even, okay, if I know what I'm going to be delayed, how I communicate that to the broker or the client so they can do something in advance or prevent any other problem. And then if I know that I'm going to be late and then I have the plan to go later to this other lane, you know what, since you're going to be late, maybe that next lane is not good anymore. Let me find you another one, considering those changes. So that capacity of react to situations is needed. And that's one big challenge. Other big challenge is in the way some carriers are deciding today to operate in regions. Right? They are operating in the same regions usually.
Yeah.
But this is in a market that is dynamic, it's changing all the time. And what today is a good deal, a lane that is performing well today, it might not perform well tomorrow.
Yep.
But then you don't realize about that until the next week when you realize, you know what, last week I was getting paid 2,000 in this lane, now 1,500. What's going on? And then probably there are other good lanes out there that you were not aware of that. So that's a second challenge. How you access to the information, how are you aware of the good deals that are out there, right? And then third, and this is very particular with the way the fuel is being consumed, and also the way that they are deciding where to go to put their fuel. Fuel is one of the biggest expenditures in this industry.
It is.
And there is a lot of variation between gas stations. And imagine calculating yourself, okay, what is the place that I have to go to put my fuel to maximize my savings? It's human impossible. As a really big challenge, because it's there.
Yeah.
You basically, truckers today, they decide to go to one gas station or other, considering the bathroom or considering the rate, the gas price that was basically a previous week or something like that, is not actually in a process of planning and deciding, okay, how I can maximize my savings. Those are the three directions that, from the operational side, we can observe that are really affecting this.
Let me ask you. I think you guys are a tool that seems like it helps in so many different ways for drivers, and I want to run through a couple of them that I've just kind of heard or thought of that maybe haven't even been mentioned or have been mentioned. Obviously, we just talked about fuel and kind of managing those savings and helping like get you into the right fuel stations and not things like that. Saving money there, so you're being able to make more money in that way. Something we didn't talk about is especially for some of these mid-sized fleets is driver retention. One of the biggest issues for fleets is driver retention, and if they're getting their drivers optimized routes where they're making more money, especially if they're spot market carriers and they're getting them more home time, they're going to be able to keep that driver happy and in the seat a lot longer than their competitors. Like you said, helping and prevent delays, helping with the communication, things like that, just kind of how to manage those kind of expectations, and just really helping the overall driver with just kind of figuring out the best ways to optimize and see there's other ways to do things than just one way. And the one way of sitting in a market, that may work on a Thursday night going into a Friday in an extremely hot market when the whole country's hot, like we had in 2021, 2022. You could sit somewhere and expect to get maybe $2,000 or $3,000 more going into a Friday. That's a
Mhm.
realistic reason to stay in a market. But
Yeah.
if you're in a market like we're in now, the downtime is one of your biggest killers. So it sounds like you guys are doing a lot of things to help manage drivers. But something I wanted to ask: do you, in these routes, does it take into account things like parking as well? Like, parking is also wearing my truck parking club hat, but
Yeah, I'm
that's
glad
what
you're
made me
wearing
think of
that.
it. Yeah, love it.
We-
They're great guys.
Yeah.
Did do you guys plan anything in terms of like helping drivers find that maybe the parking they're looking for, or even just kind of the best options for that as well?
Yeah. So funny enough, we integrated with Truck Parking Club. So part
Let's
of the
go.
planning and seeing the route is seeing the parking locations along the way and booking in
Love it.
advance. Yeah, so we're definitely thinking about that. We're also thinking about everything that costs the carrier money. So we want to be able to eventually provide them maybe more of a resource to understand how much they're paying in insurance versus how much maybe other people are paying and where they could be or
Yeah.
where they could make some savings there. Same with like
Factoring too.
factoring, repairs and maintenance, how
Yep.
much you're spending on your tires and your oil that you're getting and
Yep.
all of those
It
things.
all adds up.
Yeah.
Yep.
So parking we've added and we're looking to add more so that it's fully, the whole operation is considered.
In fact, going a little bit back to the previous question about, hey, what's going on with driver retention? So, in fact, if you make a driver happy, he's going back home at the time that he's expecting to go back home. That will definitely improve his life. Right.
Absolutely.
So we try really to make an effort to guarantee that those routes are human routes where they really go make
I love that.
good money and then go back home as expected. Yeah, in some cases we might have some delays, 1 day, 2 days,
Always happens.
but always happen because there are some things we cannot control, road closure and a storm, etc., etc. But most of the time they are targeting really and getting on time home. That's, I think, will definitely help a lot with the industry to have drivers more happy. And then, well, the other thing is, if you are not really making enough money, there is any purpose and keep doing that job? Not at all. So targeting profitability is definitely one of the things that we want to do. And then the other thing that I wanted to say is, so in our platform, we have solutions that are there and they are standard for different carriers, owner operators and dispatchers. But we also do something that is way more customized. So we intervene the operation, we analyze what they have, and since we are connected with all these different carriers, we know what things are working well, what things are not working, different strategies. We try to make a solution for them that actually is going to work. And we keep track of that solution and try to improve it during time. So there are some features that we don't have in the regular platform that people buy, but for specific solutions that have to be done.
No, that's fantastic, guys. I know we're almost out of time, but before we wrap, I want to ask you both, like, what are you most excited about going into 2025? There's been a lot of chatter that the market, may not get better until 2026. No one really has a crystal ball, but it's a lot of speculation out there. What are you guys feeling? What are you guys most excited about? To kind of keep everyone's expectations kind of tempered, but also like, what are you guys excited about? Like, we got to find something fun and joyous in these down times too, right?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot to be excited about. I think this next year, we're going to see improvement. We're seeing, following the trend lines, and it seems like there's a lot of opportunity for improvement in the next 6 to 10 months.
Yep.
So yeah, we're just excited generally about that, but also with everything here. I mean, we're growing and looking to, provide this tool to a lot more people. So
That's great.
super excited just to see what next year brings in terms of just growing our user base and seeing what extra tools we can build and provide and all of that.
Personally, something that made me feel very, very excited is when we have a new customer that's coming and say, hey, I'm having a really bad season and very struggling. I don't even have money to pay you for the license. And then we say, look, let me take a look what we can do for you. And then we make evident for them that, hey, you are making some mistakes. You are going to wrong direction. You really need to target these areas or these other areas, these lanes, and then they start having an improvement. And then giving that hope to carriers is unmatchable because we work for them. And in fact, this bad season have opened different opportunities for us because we have been observing, look, the algorithm have also now to improve in this sense and try to find more loads around this area or routes that match this particular feature or problem. We're also developing new tools that help them to keep reducing their operational costs. For example, this fuel optimizer we were talking about, it wouldn't exist without this back season. We were not even thinking about it. And then when we started analyzing the performance of different carriers, we realized, look, they are making a lot of mistakes here in the way they are consuming the fuel. So let's make something for that. But in our vision, is everything has to be integrated. We don't want to have users who have one tool here, one screen here, one screen. No. Everything has to be connected. Has to be simple to use. So we are doing a lot of improvements in that sense, how to simplify things so they just feel that they are not even working. They are just following this plan that we are providing for them with the freedom to pick where they want to go, what they don't want to do.
No, that's awesome. I love that you guys kind of take that approach, and that's a great way to go about it, guys. I really appreciate your time, Carlos and Gino. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. If the audience wants to get in touch, if they want to learn more, or just kind of see what your platform's all about, how can they get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, you just go to efRouting.com and request a demo, and you'll end up getting scheduled with me or a couple of other people that are doing sales, and we'll be happy to meet anytime it works. So,
yep,
awesome. We'll have Gino and Carlos's links and all the EF routing links in the description. If you guys like today's podcast, make sure you give it a like and review. It does help us out a ton. Don't forget, we do drop 3 weekly newsletters at ThinkFreight.io Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Don't forget to think freight.